This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. And we're going to review basically all the Arrowverse crossovers up to Crisis, and I'll be going over the first one, Flash vs. Arrow, and the Brave and the Bold, since they weren't, I don't think there was a full titled. I think the second was Heroes Just Join Forces, was the title of that one, which was the Legends of Tomorrow setup. The third one, which was Invasion. The fourth being Crisis on Earth X. And the fifth being Elseworlds. And I'm saving, Crisis on Infinite Earths for next week. I think that one's a specific video that needs its own specific video. So, that's really my opinion, but either way, looking at it, let's just get ready to go into it, starting with Flash vs. Arrow and The Brave and the Bold. This was a very small crossover, only between the Flash. I think it's season 1, episode 9, and Arrow season 3, episode 9. And they served as, or it was episode 8, and then episode 9 was the mid-season. I was thinking it was the other way around. So, it's episode 8 of both, Flash season 1 and Arrow season 3, and it was a pretty good crossover. It was mainly just, a typical Flash episode with the Arrow showing up and a few of Team Arrow members, and the same, for Arrow with the Flash members showing up. And, really, I think that worked for the first one. It was a nice, introduction for some of the main members to people of the other world, and the solid foundation for all of this. I think that, it can't really be compared to how the other ones were done, since those were more of a big scale story. But still, I think that it was done very well for what they had at the time. And going over the second crossover, which is Heroes Join Forces. Yeah, this is probably the worst one. Flash season 2, episode 8, and Arrow season 4, episode 8. The episodes were titled, I believe, Legends of Today and Legends of Yesterday. And this was mainly just set up for Legends of Tomorrow season 1. And was a pretty bad story. It had a bad version of Vandal Savage, which, continued on the Legends. And, it had some, maybe fun moments, but this definitely was the worst one. It was the first time they tried out a main story for it, and I'm glad they continued going at main stories and didn't just do the individual episode ones. But, this was their first try at it, and it was definitely a fail. And then going to Invasion, this is when it starts to get good. And honestly, Invasion, although it isn't my favorite, technically it's the one just above, the season 1 crossover to me. Season 1 being over, the first crossover and thinking of Flash years. But yeah, it's better than the first two, but personally, I don't like it more than the ones that follow. And this is Invasion, which is really followed in Flash Season 3, Episode 8, Arrow Season 5, Episode 8, which is also the 100th episode, and finally Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, Episode 8. And this one was a pretty good storyline. It introduced Supergirl officially into the Arrowverse with a sort of mini crossover happening in the season 2 episode of The Flash. I think it was the one where he loses his speed. I can't remember the episode's title right now. But in that he basically runs into a portal and comes right out. But during that, a Supergirl episode happens where he appears in it. And that's interesting. And it was definitely a great decision. Not maybe for Supergirl, but definitely to bring something like Superman and Lois to Earth Prime. Because Supergirl, I always thought it was, it was never a good show to me. I don't think it was terrible. It was kind of, in the bad to okay area. And I think it was interesting just to bring these characters in. And, well, the main advantage is having some characters like Martian Manhunter, Superman, and more brought into the Arrowverse officially. And honestly, I think that this was a good one. And it followed the Dominators, who were attacking the heroes of Earth 1 because of Barry creating Flashpoint and them feeling threatened by that. And really, it's interesting when you watch these that many of these tie into, the Flash and his decisions and everything for crossovers and stuff set up by the Flash. Because, the first one, it was, a Flash and an Arrow episode, really. Look, half it was the Flash. Season 2, it is set up by a small sub-story set up in the Flash Bay between Cisco and Hawkgirl. And Season 3 is directly caused by Flashpoint. Season 4 is, the fourth crossover is caused by the events of Barry and Iris' wedding. Season 5 is one of the only ones that isn't technically directly caused by the Flash, but still is partially caused by him since it is the lead up to Crisis, which was teased in the first episode of The Flash. Crisis, of course, was teased by the Flash and set up by both Flash and Arrow. And the John Diggle crossover, which you kind of count, wasn't exactly, but it wasn't a full-on crossover. And the next one is exclusively taking place in the Flash, and is going to be the first, I think, 5 episodes of the next season. So it's really interesting to see, with the Flash being their biggest show, how he caused so many of the crossover events. But I really like the storyline for this. It was a good storyline, and honestly, just to me, it was. The only problem was I just think it was not as good as the other ones. And going to the next year's event, Crisis on Earth X, as I said before, this was Barry and Iris' wedding, but the fake wedding happens in a Supergirl episode where they're about to get married and they get invaded by Nazis. And their actual wedding happens in a Legends episode, which both ways seemed a little, weird. Oh, and I forgot this takes place on Supergirl season 3, episode 8. Flash season, I think it's after that's Arrow season 6, episode 8. The Flash season 4, episode 8, and finishing on Legends, Season 3, Episode 8, and this was a interesting way to go, and had some interesting villains. It had, well, evil Oliver and Kara, and since they did an evil Barry in the previous season of The Flash with Savitar, they decided to go with the Reverse Flash working with them, just improving the character and his great relationship with Barry, well, rivalry with Barry, really. And I think that's one of the, most well done rivalries because of how extensive it is in a comic book property, since they've developed it over, well, now 7 seasons. And yeah, this was probably, as I said, definitely was one of my favorites, and also with the death of Martin Stein, that was a very tragic moment, but also he had such a, clean way out, and that's what made him more tragic, because he was going to retire after this episode, and he was going to spend the rest of his life with his family, and then he died, and I think that was a very interesting and good twist in it. In this one, it's been a really close run for, well, second place to me, with, first being Crisis, and Infinite Earths, and Earth X, and, well, the next one, Elseworlds, are the ones kind of like, in a close race for second. And I'm gonna give it, I honestly don't know which one I'd put as second. I think that it really depends on the day. I could go either way. Right now I'm thinking Elseworlds a little more, but I can, on other days go Earth X. And really, I liked this one, and I thought it was fun. But now, let's finally go over the final crossover before Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that is Elseworlds. And this one was such a fun one. First, with the body swapping stuff, that was so interesting, and Amazo being a villain, the Monitor being there, setting up Crisis, and more. Also, I think that, well, their introduction to Batwoman here was good, although the show really wasn't, at least so far, in my opinion. And I think as that episode made me excited to see Batwoman, but I was very disappointed once I did see it. But all the Batman references and stuff was great. And I think that, some of the plot lines, like the body swapping, all these crazy different timelines, and, Oliver making the deals and moves to have that early setup for Crisis at Infinite Earths next year. I think all of that just pushes this. Oh, and Superman appearing. Superman was great in here. I think all of that just pushes this, I think, to me, yeah, for now, as the second best one, but I think it's in close competition with Crisis on Earth X. And, well, for now, I'm putting this one over, but this is one of the few ones where I think its position is not as concrete with the ones that already exist. And who knows, this might be pushed down to fighting for third if the next crossover, or I think it's not specifically being called a crossover, but once that's out, I think that, it may be able to get second. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be able to get first. I think Crisis on Infinite Earths was such a great one, but there's still a chance. And really, to announce my content for next week, on Sunday, I will be having my, what if, and it's instead of being a normal what if, it's going to be an improv one. It's most likely to be what if Alderaan hit a giant mirror, since no one has voted on anything I am recording this a few days in advance, so that may change, but by this point it's too late. It'll probably already be recorded since I'm pretty busy today. I'm doing a bunch of stuff and looking at the rest. So tomorrow is Sunday, so that's what I have there. The Monday video is going to be I'll keep it as a surprise for now. It's just gonna be a fun little video played with against music. And then let's see, on Tuesday it's going to be my review of Shang-Chi. And then on Wednesday, well, I have both my Arrowverse review and my review of What If out. Thursday we'll have my review of Crisis on Infinite Earths and the few episodes that, come out after it. And one other one, it would be, what's it called? My Titans review out. On Friday I'll have a review of Archer episode 5. And I think I'll record episode 4's one right now. I was in my DC one from recording my Titans one still. I still had the, file for that one opened up. I record my DC stuff, so I just recorded it here first. And then, I don't remember what LEGO review I have coming out. But there'll be a LEGO review out. It might be Yoda and Mandalorian Brickheads. I can't remember if it was, yesterday's video. I don't think it was yesterday's video. Yesterday's video should be the other Mandalorian one, so it should probably be the Mandalorian Child Brickheads. Oh, and the 501st Battle Pack, or 501st Legion Clone Troopers set. But that's really the plans for the next week. And on Saturday, I'll make that decision by the time I have the Archer video out, which will be on Friday, so I could, record the plan for the next week in it. And I think that's all I have to say. There could also be, some other videos popping up, ones I'm not really sure about yet. Maybe like a LEGO reveal, maybe a new trailer drops or something. But look out for those, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.